Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Football Podcast. I'm Ryan Wormeli, joined as always by Scott Bogman and Pat Fitzmaurice. Fellas, we have had a draft. We can now react to landing spots. We can talk about where we are actually going to be ranking these guys, no longer projecting where we think they're going to go in the draft, what their ideal landing spot is, what their non-ideal landing spot is. We have the information we need to make informed decisions. Very exciting, very fun weekend of the draft, as it always is. Bogman, before we dive into our actual conversation today, some draft winners and losers and rankings movers, what did you think about the draft itself? Any kind of major topics and storylines that stood out to you? Was it a fun weekend? Was it a surprising weekend for you, or kind of play out as expected?
I gotta be honest. I'm just so happy that we didn't have to do the whole day with Fitzy, so he couldn't do the Mel Kiper total meltdown when Shedeur Sanders didn't get drafted. So I think that's the obvious takeaway, the biggest story of this draft, because no one would stop talking about it. But I think quarterbacks fell in general. Quinn fell to the 7th. A couple guys that I like were undrafted. So like QBs just fell kind of overall after the first two. So Sanders wasn't the only one. Then there was the prank phone call, but lots of good running back value. I like a lot of these wide receiver landing spots. Not so happy with the tight end landing spots. We'll get into that eventually this week. We got a lot of shows, but yeah, I thought this was a really good draft, specifically if you're looking for running back depth in your dynasty leagues here.
Yeah, on the prank phone call, by the way, don't want to give any more attention to those guys, but I think Kevin Clark from ESPN said it best. It was a loser move, and we can just leave it at that.
Apparently Tyler Warren got it too with the Jets.
Oh, did he? I didn't see that one. Oh,
did.
Wow. Yeah, I will never be able to wrap my head around people thinking that's funny or appropriate. I think we do actually at the top of this episode have to talk a little bit about Shedeur. I kind of think it would be malpractice for us not to talk about him, and he's not one of the names that you guys listed as your draft, amongst the winners and losers. Obviously, he would be on the loser side. He's not one of the names you guys chose. We might talk about him in the rankings movers, but I do think we need to talk about the fall in general. We talked about it a little bit when it was happening on day 2, when we were on the live stream for the section that the three of us were on together. That's on the FantasyPros YouTube if anybody wants to go back and watch that. But Fitz, you have been a Shedeur guy throughout the process over Cam Ward. What was going through your mind watching him fall, not just out of the first round? And we have seen this more and more in recent years. I kind of think this is the new normal where quarterbacks are either first round guys or they're going to fall. I know Tyler Shook went in the second round, but there's not going to be a lot of those guys. I think it's more, if you think he's a starter, he's going in the first. Otherwise, these guys will fall. But to fall all the way to the 5th, obviously was very eyebrow raising for everybody. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I guess I feel like first and foremost, no one in the NFL really wanted to deal with the Deion baggage of having, a player who has kind of openly said that he might be involved in engineering where his son ends up in the draft, and a guy who could potentially be a coaching candidate in the NFL. And does the regime that brings in Shedeur also have the specter of Deion looking over your shoulder? Plus, I don't think Shedeur is a bad kid, but maybe there was some sense of entitlement. It was weird that he turned on the Senior Bowl, went to the Shrine Bowl instead, and then didn't do anything and just did interviews. And apparently his meeting with Brian Daboll didn't go so well, and Brian Daboll sort of called him out on his lack of preparation for it. I guess they gave him some homework assignments, and Shedeur kind of blew it off. So the funny thing is, 2 months ago, in one of my leagues where I'm going to be drafting 105, my quarterback situation is not airtight, and I was considering maybe drafting Shedeur at 105. And now it's like, okay, maybe if he falls to the 3rd round, I'll take a shot at him there. And it's just strange to have to reassess that. And not only did he go in the 5th round, but he wasn't even the first quarterback chosen by his own team. The Browns took Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. So it's really interesting, but I still like the player. I still like the accuracy and the processing, and I still think he could succeed in the NFL despite his comeuppance on draft weekend.
I think, and Bogman, I want to get your thoughts on this too. I think for me, it's pretty straightforward. If he was a good enough quarterback that teams were certain he was going to be an above average NFL quarterback, nobody would care about Deion and the circus that follows. But at the level he is, I mean, it's a balance. And if you think he's merely an okay prospect or slightly below average, I mean, your mileage may vary on how you actually evaluate him on the field. But if you think he's just an average guy or a backup, then that's when it becomes, untenable to deal with everything that else comes with him. And I think where there's smoke, there's fire. There's so much talk about him bombing these interviews that I think it has to be accurate. Like, I don't think this is teams trying to punish the guy. Like, I just think he probably came in and didn't have the best attitude, and teams are saying, why are we going to take this on for a guy that we're not even certain is going to be a starting quarterback? I know some people, like Fitz does see him as that capable of a player, but if you don't, why even bother?
Right. And I think the further he fell, the more it was like, okay, maybe he would be back on our board, but do we want to deal with all the outside stuff for a second or third string guy? Like, I think a lot of teams just had him completely off their board. A lot of teams weren't looking to add quarterbacks at all. There weren't many drafted, right? So I think it's death by a thousand cuts here. But the biggest one was the attitude of him in the pre-draft process, not wanting to do anything. And I think the NFL overblows the, you don't want to do this. A bunch of people knock Cam Scatterboot because he didn't want to run, or other players because they didn't want to run. It's like, well, if running doesn't help their draft stock, why would they do it? But everybody can sit and be interviewed and be humble, right? And he didn't do that. So I think that took him off of a lot of boards. A lot of people don't want to deal with the outside stuff. And the further he slipped, I think maybe even the more boards he came off of. And even getting drafted by the Browns seems like an ownership move as well. I know a lot of people have speculated on that. I have no idea whether he just fell so far they're like, well, screw it, we got to do it now. Or if the owner came in and said, hey, we're going to sell some jerseys with this guy is popular, just pick him up. We don't care. But I think the biggest loser in this whole process is Dylan Gabriel. Honestly, I love his drafts, is being drafted inside the third round and everything, but I think Shedeur is way better than him. So I don't think it's going to take many reps for Shedeur to pass him on the depth chart. So I think that was probably the biggest loss in terms of, what gets lost in the shuffle here. But also Quinn Ewers fell to the 7th, and no one was talking about that until the 7th. So QBs just fell. Also, QBs fell in this draft. So it wasn't just Shedeur, it was also the QB position itself after Tyler Shook.
I actually think it was smart of the Browns to take him. Like, you should draft multiple quarterbacks if it's not going to take, a ton of draft. You're not passing up on elite players at that point in the draft anyway. Take swings. I actually think it was smart by the Browns. I mean, like I said, we don't need to belabor the point too much more, but the ultimate point I think is just there was no conspiracy by the teams to say we're going to punish him for Dion. This is the toughest and most important position to fill in all of professional sports. If teams thought he was good enough, they would look past that stuff. I just think they thought he was good, but not good enough to be worth some of that other stuff. And I'm not even saying they're right or wrong. I just think that's how teams approach it. I don't think it was some, like I said, conspiracy theory about, he's falling for some, untoward reason.
And he can
the
learn
Ravens
from
drafted
this.
Mike Green.
Right.
Teams will look past off-field stuff if they think you're good enough.
And he can learn from this. This is the very 100%. Beginning of his NFL career. So he can, he obviously has been humbled, and he can learn from it and understand it and move forward with a better attitude. And I think that's kind of part of the reason why he fell, and I think it was maybe necessary. So in the end, I don't think his draft status will matter. Getting on a team and going, I think that's what's going to matter.
Let's dive into some of our winners. I do want to remind everybody that all of our 2025 consensus rankings and tiers can be found at fantasypros.com/rankings. You can navigate to the Dynasty rankings from there as well. Fitz, who was your number one NFL draft winner?
I'm going to say it was Colston Loveland, where I'm drafted 10th overall, goes into a Ben Johnson offense. Sam Laporta gave us an overall tight end 1 season as a rookie in Ben Johnson's offense in Detroit 2 seasons ago. This is just a really nice setup for a talented young player. Loveland just turned 21 earlier this month. He has a really bright NFL future. He's the tight end 4 in my overall dynasty rankings, behind only Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, and the aforementioned Sam Laporta.
Where in rookie drafts, we're going to have a lot of content that will hit on some of this later, coming out later this week, Fitz, but as of right now, where do you see Loveland falling? If he's tight end 1 in rookie drafts, is that and we're not talking tight end premium, but is that a top 6 pick at the back end of that range, or is that still more back half of the first round where he was before?
I think back half of the first round, if we're not playing in tight end premium leagues, I think like 108 is where he first starts to become an option. I think I've got him right behind Egbuka in my overall super flex rankings at 109. But I think you can make the case that he should go ahead of Egbuka at 108. And then if you factor in tight end premium, I think you could consider him as early as 106.
Tight end premium, I almost wonder if you could go even higher than that.
It's just that I really like some of the running backs up there. Like I would have a hard time justifying putting him ahead of any of the first 4 or 5 running backs.
Okay. Bogman, for you, Loveland, overall dynasty rankings, where does he fit amongst the tight ends?
I don't love it. I will say I have him in the same exact spot Fitzy does. I have him at 4, but I'm not doing it with as positive as a review as Fitzy. I will say I do like, obviously, the quarterback fit, the offense fit for him, but I really like 3 wide receivers on this team as well. So I do wonder what the pecking order in terms of targets and receptions is going to be for. I think Rome takes a huge spot. DJ Moore is already the leader there. Luther Burden was a good pick, but it's starting to get crowded. Now, I have ratcheted back my crowded thought process for a lot of these draft picks. Obviously, last year that dinged me for Ricky Pearsall, right? I was like, well, when does he get on the field? So I had him way too low. I understand that, but I really, really like the other 3 targets in this offense. So I'm not as high as Fitz at on Loveland. I also don't love where Warren ended up because no one throws the ball and they have a million targets as well. So maybe I haven't come off of my crowded situation a little bit, even though I thought I did. But I mean, it's a good spot for the quarterback in the offense and the talent around him. I just worry about early target share.
Well, it's crowded in a different way than the Niners was for 2 reasons. One, we have not seen Caleb Williams in a Ben Johnson offense before. I think we are generally optimistic about what that can be, even if it's not the most obvious fit on the surface. Is a talented quarterback and a great play caller. I think it will work, but we haven't seen it the way we have seen Shanahan in San Francisco. And also, the crowded situation in San Francisco last year was guys like Debo, who, wasn't sure how long he was going to be around. Ayuk was thought to maybe be on the move. Christian McCaffrey is an older running back. George Kittle is older. The guys in Chicago are all pretty young. I mean, Luther Burden, obviously a rookie. Rome Odunze, a second-year player. DJ Moore is the elder statesman. He's not exactly old. Cole Kmet's not, long in the tooth. So there's a lot of names, and it's an offense we haven't seen go together, and there's a lot of names that are going to be together for a while, barring some kind of a trade. So
if Rome isn't as good as I think, then Loveland gets a huge boost. But I'm still holding out a lot of hope for Rome.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I'm not predicting I don't know. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that he's going to duplicate Sam Laporta's numbers from 2 years ago, but I do think it's going to be a real nice setup for him down the road. Like over under on his rookie year yardage is probably somewhere south of 600 yards. But, Cole Kmet's not going to be here forever. And I think Cole Kmet maybe has 2 years left on the 4-year, $50 million contract.
I wouldn't be
extension.
surprised if they traded him before the season started after having all these weapons.
Could happen. But, they can go 11 personnel. They can go 3 wideouts. They just have a lot of different ways to go. And I do think we're going to see a substantial uptick in this offense overall this season. And Loveland's going to be part of it.
Betting on Ben Johnson's been a pretty good bet recently.
Yes.
So don't hate that.
My number one takeaway from this offense was I want to draft Caleb Williams this year.
Yes.
Which I think was a lot of people's reaction. Bogman, what was your number one winner?
RJ Harvey. I mean, I wasn't as high on RJ Harvey as others. Specifically, I know Debro really loved him, but him going to Denver and, basically taking over. What do they have in Denver? They don't have anybody. Javonte is gone. He had 605 snaps. Shalil McLaughlin was only good for 300. Estime had just under 140. I know they like Estime, but RJ Harvey is so much better than all of the backs on this roster. I think he just comes in and immediately gets a boatload of carries. And if he can endear himself very quickly, then I think he's going to take this job and keep it for a while. So I am really big on RJ Harvey going to Denver, and he moved up my board significantly because of that.
Fitz, I'm sure we all know that you're going to agree with this, right?
Yeah, I did like RJ Harvey going in. He was my RB7, and I kind of debated back and forth between he and Dylan Sampson of Tennessee. Now, Sampson had one of the worst possible landing spots of any back in the rookie class, whereas we love Harvey's landing spot. And I do think McLaughlin and or Estime and possibly someone else in this backfield. I don't know if Tyler Beatty has 9 lives and might resurface here, but it's always going to be a committee with Sean Payton. Like, no one's getting 300 touches in this backfield, but I do think RJ Harvey is a pretty good bet to lead the Denver backfield in touches. And the thing we really like about Sean Payton's backfields is that running backs tend to catch a ton of passes in this offense. And that's really good for fantasy and especially good for Dynasty, where almost every Dynasty league is a full point PPR league.
If you are picking late in the first and have a really strong need at running back, and guys like Judkins and Travion aren't falling, would you be okay with Harvey as a late first round pick in that scenario?
Oh man, I think he's in play earlier than late first. I think he's in play even in Superflex. Well, I guess Cam Ward would really be the only quarterback I'd consider taking early first in Superflex. But I think he's 107 or so, and I know Debro thinks it's a viable debate.
I have
Hampton versus RJ Harvey. I'm not going that far.
Yeah, me neither.
And I'm not putting him ahead of either of the Ohio State backs either. But I think RJ Harvey versus Caleb Johnson is a reasonable debate.
Yep. I have him ahead of both Caleb and Cam now. That's how much he moved up to me. That's why I picked him as my winner.
Okay.
And you guys know how much I love Cam and Caleb Johnson. So
do you have him ahead of that trio of receivers?
I do.
The Goldens and Burdens and Agbukas?
Yes.
Okay.
Same. I have one spot. I have him and then all 3 of those guys. Okay. So but yeah, one spot ahead.
Okay. I ask because I have the last pick in a league where I'm desperate for running back, and I was thinking about Harvey as a pick, but it sounds like you guys think he might not even get there with the landing spot. It is definitely a good one. I want to remind everybody that you can evaluate trades with confidence using FantasyPros Trade Analyzer. Instantly see the impacts of trades on your team and get expert recommendations, whether you're making a 2-for-1 deal or swapping a couple draft picks for that stud who will help you win now. The Trade Analyzer will help you optimize your roster and make smarter decisions. Try the Trade Analyzer today at fantasypros.com/myplaybook and dominate your league. All right, Fitz, who's your other winner?
I'm going to say Boggs, University of Texas guy, Jaydon Blue. The Cowboys didn't take a running back in the first 4 rounds of the draft. They took Blue in the 5th round and Phil Maffa of Clemson in the 7th. The top 2 running backs on the Dallas depth chart are Javonte Williams, who's coming off a pretty bad year, and Miles Sanders, who's been just up and down, mostly down throughout his career. Jaydon Blue's speed is what makes him so interesting. He's the only burner in this backfield now. He ran a 4.28 at the Texas Pro Day. He's a smaller back, but he's got pretty good contact balance. He made a lot of yards after contact at Texas last season. He's also a pretty good pass catcher, 42 receptions for the Longhorns last year. Jaydon Blue isn't one of my 10 favorite running backs in this class. He was more of a maybe guy for me, but now that he's landed in Dallas, I'm certainly more interested in Jaydon Blue than I was a few days ago.
Bogman, as the Texas guy, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I love it. I text Fitz immediately after this pick, and I was like, Jaydon Blue to Dallas. And Fitz initially, I think, was like, he's, a 10-touch guy? I said, he can be a little more in Dallas. And I think with the way they set up and the fact that they didn't draft another running back, like Fitz mentioned, what Blue is in this system. He's your, probably your 2-minute drill guy that's catching passes out of the backfield. So he has that role immediately when you want to rush. He is the change of pace guy also. So you're looking for a lead back. You're going to figure that out between Javonte, Miles Sanders, and, Phil Maffa, who looks like a linebacker out there dude is enormous. So, but I think that they're going to figure a lead guy to lead them in carries out of that group, or maybe mix and match. But Jaydon Blue has that second back already. So I think he's 10 to 12 touches, something like that. And he can be, you want Achane out of him. You're not going to get Achane out of him, but that's the role that he's going to have. A guy that can come in and touch the ball 12 to 15 times a game and potentially make a difference on one of them on a big play.
Feels like the second round in rookie drafts is too aggressive, but I feel like I'll be pretty thrilled in any league where I'm getting him in the third if I have a need at running back. Does that feel like a fair assessment?
I got him at 28, so that's perfect.
I think early third, top half of the third.
Yeah. Let's go to the other winner we have here, Bogman.
Yeah, Tre Harris, the wide receiver from Ole Miss, going to the Chargers. And it was funny on my stream right before this happened, right before this pick, I said, can you imagine if they went Tre Harris catching rainbow balls from Justin Herbert? And then he got picked. So I was pretty happy about this one. And I even considered moving him ahead of Luther Burden. And that is where I got into my, okay, well, I did this crowded thing last year and Ricky Pearsall is awesome now. So let's not go that far because I still think Luther Burden's a better player. But I love this landing spot. They need a long speed guy because it's all running, and then passes over the middle to Ladd McConkey. I mean, it's a good offense, but it needs a field stretcher. And I think him paired with Justin Herbert on those deep balls. I mean, we saw him, his yards per route run was literally off the charts last year. It was over 5. The next highest was like 3.8. One of the better statistics in terms of measuring how good a wide receiver is coming out of college. So I think this landing spot is a perfect pairing, and he really boosted in my rankings because of it.
Fitz, Debro has Tre Harris now with the landing spot as a top 12 player in rookie drafts. He has him as a first round pick. Is that too aggressive?
It is too aggressive in my book, but I wasn't nearly as high on Tre Harris as Debro was, and I had him behind some of the other big X-type wide receivers in this draft. I had him behind Jaden Higgins, which I think that was maybe chalk for a lot of people, but I also had him behind Alec Iamaner, which I don't think a lot of people did. I just I worry a little bit about the speed, but after Harris was drafted where he was drafted and going to the Chargers where he has an immediate opportunity to make an impact as an outside receiver, I had to vault him to the top of that list of big time X receivers behind Tet McMillan. So I do like the landing spot a lot. I think it's a nice opportunity. I don't think he's going to have much difficulty bypassing Quentin Johnston in the target pecking order for the Chargers because Tre Harris does have a functional set of hands.
It seems like a really nice compliment to Ladd McConkey also.
Yep.
Yes,
I think
very
they're
much
so well together. And that's another one where, and I felt like this is a pretty common assessment where I feel like a lot of quarterbacks were winners in this draft. This is another one where I think Tre Harris helps Justin Herbert in terms of Dynasty, just getting another young receiver he can grow with and building out that group. So
good landing spot also for Oronde Gadsden Jr., the sort of hybrid tight end wide receiver who went to the Chargers also.
Yeah, so they're going to be fun to watch this year. Let's get into some of the losers. Fitz, we'll start with you here.
Oh, man, this one, we knew with so many good running backs in this rookie class that some were maybe not going to get the draft capital we had hoped for. Some weren't going to land in the best of landing spots. With Damien Martinez, this is a case of landing in a bad landing spot and not getting the draft capital we had hoped for. Martinez wound up being a 7th-round pick, and he is now stuck behind Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet in Seattle. I guess on the bright side, Kenneth Walker's rookie deal expires after this season, and the Seahawks elected not to pick up the 5th-year option on his contract. But it is the 7th round. That draft capital or lack thereof is pretty disappointing. Apparently, I liked him a lot more than NFL teams did. And, sometimes we're going to be a little off on these things. Just think if Damien Martinez had gone to Dallas instead of Jaydon Blue in the 5th round. We would have been thrilled. Would have been over the moon and really excited about Damien Martinez. But now, 7th round, log jammed behind 2 pretty good running backs. it's a bad outcome, no question.
Bogman.
Yeah, I mean, the only sliver of hope that I really have here is that there were rumors that maybe they're going to trade one of the backs before the draft. It didn't happen, but maybe you take a guy like Damien Martinez because you're like, these running backs keep falling. I can't believe he fell to the 7th. We'll take him, and now maybe we'll explore some trades. Maybe that is something that'll happen in camp, but I'm with Fitzy on this one. Going all the way down to the 7th, having some of these other guys picked in front of him was not great for his stock, and he definitely lost a lot of steam.
Yeah, still worth drafting though, like 4th round or something, because I mean, if he redshirt season in 2025, they let Walker walk, and he's the backup to Sharps in 2026, that wouldn't be a bad result for him.
When you're drafting in the 4th round in general, are you picking so you're picking between two guys? Would you give an edge towards the guy where you see the year 1 opportunity, or the guy that you liked a lot more in the pre-draft process as a prospect?
I mean, generally the guy I liked a lot more, but when a guy goes in the 7th round, then maybe I have to rethink that.
Yeah, and especially because it's a short shelf life for running backs. So if you don't get on the field pretty quick, you're usually out pretty quick.
Yeah, in 7th round, I mean, you're 50-50 to make the roster.
Right.
And it feels like, too, every year we could look back 1 year earlier and see all the guys that we were like, we really liked them in the process, let's give them a chance. And just 1 year of not performing, you see the value really tank.
Yeah.
And,
Specifically with running backs.
And maybe that becomes a guy you can try to buy low a year later if you don't like the landing spot, but you like the player. But Bogman, let's go to your loser.
Yeah, it's Jarquez Hunter. I love this guy too, but I hate this landing spot of the Rams because, you have a back that still would have been high in this class. I would have put Blake Corum over RJ Harvey. I don't know how you feel about that, Fitzy, but like going in, I still like Blake Corum a ton. And he is well behind Kyren Williams, who is still a stud in the league right now. So I just think that he is buried kind of the same way that Damien Martinez is buried. I'll say that the difference is he didn't go as late as Damien went. He went in the 4th round. So, 4th round is not bad for running back, but I think that this spot may be even worse than Damien Martinez because I think Blake Corum, I feel like there's a much bigger difference between Corum and Hunter than there is between Corum and Kyren. I think Corum is a really good running back. So I think he might push Kyren this year. I don't think Hunter pushes Corum at all. So in that case, I really don't like this landing spot at all for Jarquez Hunter.
Fitz, we liked Hunter coming into this draft. Is he, you just mentioned with Martinez, you're still willing to, take a flyer on him with a 4th round pick in rookie drafts. Is that also true for Hunter?
Yeah. So Jarquez was drafted in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Right. So, I probably would have had the over under on his round as being like the 5th round. So this is a little like the meme of the woman trying kombucha for the first time, where it's like the half pleased, half disgusted. So I agree. Like he is log jammed right now, and it doesn't seem like there's any daylight for him to break through and contribute as a rookie. But at the same time, 4th round draft capital, like the Rams show they like this guy. So I'm definitely more enthusiastic about his landing spot than I am about the landing spot for Damien Martinez.
What do you think about, real quick, what do you think about Hunter versus Brooks, Taj Brooks, who went in the 6th, but he went to Cincinnati, and that spot is, fairly open here.
Oh, man. Boggs, you know what a Taj Brooks guy I am.
I know.
I even sort of guessed that Cincinnati might be a possible landing spot for him, but I still have Hunter ranked slightly higher. I think
I have
one
Brooks,
spot higher.
I have Brooks pretty decently ahead at this point. So that's the thing. I also, Devin Neal, I like that landing spot in New Orleans. I think I would take him over Hunter as well right now. So it's not that I dislike the player. And look, we did this to Bucky, we did this to Kyren, who is now leading the Rams, right? So it's been done before. Maybe there's a little bit too much traffic, but I really, really like Blake Corum. That's my big thing, is I think Blake Corum's way better than Jarquez Hunter. And, I need to stick to that, even though his draft capital wasn't bad.
Well, what I was going to ask to the draft capital point, Fitz, because you say like, well, it's a crowded backfield, but we saw the Rams spend a 4th round pick on Hunter. We saw them spend a 3rd round pick on Corum, right? And then he did nothing his rookie season. So I don't know how much stock I'm putting into the draft capital. This might just be a team that says, hey, we want to use our picks on depth or, pieces that are there just in case Kyron goes down with an injury. I don't know how much it means that he's going to get the usage we'd like, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you've got the Rams, who've been historically a little unpredictable with their running back usage. We remember the Cam Akers swerve of a few years ago when we thought it was wheels up for Cam Akers, and then it's Darrell Henderson taking all the snaps in the Thursday night season opener. So, yeah, like this is not a flag I want to aggressively plant by any means on Jarquez Hunter, but I still, like, he's not on my do not draft list.
By now, most of you have probably heard of Reality Sports Online, the powerful fantasy sports platform where owners get to build and manage their fantasy team like an NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? It's time to go see what all the buzz in the Dynasty community is about. Free agency, multi-year contracts, a rookie draft, multi-team trades, franchise tags, contract extensions, first-round rookie options, automated contract and salary cap functionality, and much, much more. Think it sounds complicated? It's not. The best thing about Reality Sports Online Fantasy Front Office is that it doesn't take any more time than a standard league. It just requires more strategy. Think you're among the fantasy elite? Well, this is the platform to test your mettle. Still not sure? You can test out your general manager skills for free in a mock free agency auction. If you like what you see, use promo code FantasyPros to receive a 10% discount on your team or league today. That's promo code FantasyPros to receive a 10% discount on your team or league today. Fantasy just got real at realitysportsonline.com. I like how every time I start talking about Reality Sports Online, I see Bogman goes, okay, this is my chance to take a sip of water or something.
Yep.
This is the opportunity.
I was also mouthing the I mean, I've done that one so many times.
Going in along with it, yeah. Let's do a couple more losers here before we get to some of our biggest rankings. Movers. Fitz, who's your other loser?
We're talking veterans here, right?
Yeah, we're going to do a
Mixing
veteran
in some
each year to
vets.
wrap up the losers.
All right, Cole Kmet, just the corollary to my love for Colston. Loveland, and I think Kmet's a good player, but I don't think he's the athlete that Loveland is or even close. And clearly the drafting of Loveland signals that the Bears are not expecting big things from Cole Kmet in 2025.
Where is Kmet ranked for you amongst all Dynasty tight ends?
Oh man, I think I've dropped him to like low teens, 19 or something like that.
And what was he before? Like 13-ish? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, high end tight end too.
I just updated this. I've got him at 20, and I think I dropped him from I think I was 13. Before,
he's at 26 in our consensus staff rankings right now, and this is like immediate reaction to the draft, so maybe that'll change throughout the summer. But it is a pretty precipitous drop for him. With this, any other thoughts on Bogman? I don't think we need to spend a ton of time here because we already talked about Loveland.
No, I hope he gets traded, but if he doesn't, he's going to spend a lot of time blocking because that is not what Colston Loveland does. And, we saw it with what happened with David Njoku when they drafted Harrison Bryant too. Like Harrison Bryant could not block. So they had David Njoku just block. It wasn't his best asset. It never has been, but he was good at it too. So, I think that's what we're going to see from Kmet until he gets moved.
Who is the team that you would want to see him moved to?
Ooh, that's good.
I'm not sure who comes to mind immediately as like, this is the team where I want a tight end to go. Or like even think like there was talk of, they're not going to do it now, but like there was talk of the Ravens trading Mark Andrews, maybe Cole Kmet. I'm trying to think who is the team that needs a tight end that I would want one of these guys to go to.
I think the Giants would be a good one. The Patriots wouldn't be bad, although they have Hunter, he's a million, but he's still good.
Yeah,
Carolina.
Patriots is a good one because both their tight ends are pretty old with Hooper and Hunter.
Yeah.
So like that would be a little, guy with a little more juice. But just kind of a shame that it won't work out in Chicago for the Chicago kid, Cole Kmet. Shout out St. Viator High School.
Wow.
All right, let's go to Bogman's last loser here.
Rhamondre Stevenson, man, the Patriots for the Pats to spend up on a second round pick to get a running back, I think spells doom for Rhamondre Stevenson, and I think Henderson is already better than him. Stevenson put the ball on the ground a bunch at the end of last season. They just didn't have anybody to put in there that was any good at all. So he retained his job. But this team needs juice, too. They need speed. They've needed it for a while. It's why they tried Javon Baker. They tried with Tyquan Thornton, right? Like, we've seen them swing and miss a lot on some speed, some juice, just adding anything to this team. So I think Henderson's a guy you're going to see out there probably more often as the year moves forward, right? Like, I think his usage is just going to grow and grow. So I think Rhamondre is going to take a back seat. And I think by the end of the season, Henderson is the lead back here. I also think it's a nice fit for Henderson because you have Stevenson, so he doesn't have to be a battering ram. He doesn't have to take the ball 25 times a game, 20 times a game. He can touch the ball 15 to 18 times and be great, which is exactly what you want from him. So really I think Stevenson is a guy that needs multiple carries, those 20 touch games to really do something. Now I feel like with a reduced role, a young guy that's way more spry than him, holds onto the ball better. I think we're watching the axe get narrower here for Stevenson. I don't think he's going to be the lead back by the time the season ends.
Do you think he's totally cooked, or would you trade, like, if you're a team that needs a running back, would you trade like a third rounder, late second, even to take a swing, like, and just hope for the upside? Or
third is fine, but I mean, when it goes for running backs, it goes quickly, and it seemed to go at the end of last year. And I think that's why the Patriots spent such a high pick on him. They also picked up your boy Fitzy Landlarison as a UDFA. So that dude might be able to make the roster as well. So they're just making different plans on offense right now.
So Fitz, it's clear that Henderson should scare people away from Stevenson. Do you think the status of Stevenson, like he did sign a contract extension, would he scare you away from Henderson at all?
No. Henderson is too good for that. And, I think the ball security issues that Rhamondre had last year really seemed like they soured the Patriots on him. Even though they were going nowhere, like they sat him down when he started coughing up fumbles last year. So I still like the player, but yeah, like now he's probably more than halfway through his NFL career, and he is no longer has the inside track on the lead RB job for New England.
If you want to see where the rookies stack up among each other after the NFL draft, check out our Dynasty rookie rankings at fantasypros.com/rankings to see where the experts slot these players. Just want to remind everybody again, fantasypros.com/rankings. You can see all of our 2025 rankings, including Dynasty rookie rankings. All right, guys, let's get into our biggest rankings movers. I asked you guys for some names, and I told you this. I counted them all out. You guys sent me 75 combined names, literally. So rather than listing all of them, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this basically positionally and let you guys hit on some of your favorites, some of the biggest movers, and then maybe if you want to quickly just name a few others, that's fine as well. So we're going to go quarterbacks, then running backs, then receivers, then tight ends. And for each position, we're going to go rookies and then veterans. So let's start with quarterbacks, and we'll start with rookies. Who are some quarterbacks, whether they moved up or down, that were moving in different directions for you? Boggs, we'll start with you.
I like Riley Leonard. I think him going to the Colts is like the perfect landing spot because they have two other guys that also can't throw, and he can run so well. It's just like the perfect suited offense for him. The weapons are amazing. The guys in front of him don't have a firm grip on anything. I don't even know if Riley Leonard's going to make this roster, right? He's a 6th-round pick at quarterback, but I think this is probably the best landing spot in the NFL, and he's a fan favorite because he's still in Indiana. So I think that was a really good one. And then the guy moving down, I already mentioned it before, I don't like Dillon Gabriel going to Cleveland when they added Shedeur also. So that's my up and down among the rookies.
Was there anybody for you, Fitz? I mean, obviously Shedeur is one that is a big dropper for everybody. Beyond him, is there a quarterback that stands out for you amongst the rookies?
Shedeur is the dropper. I'll say Dillon Gabriel is actually the riser because yes, he is going there with Shedeur, but like the 3rd-round draft capital really surprised me. He's a guy I would not have considered drafting even in a super flex league before this NFL draft, but I'm starting to come around to the idea that Gabriel could sort of follow the path that we saw Brock Purdy take, and not comparable as far as draft capital, but Bo Nix, guys who not a lot of people were super high on coming into the NFL, but guys who made a ton of starts in major college conferences. And like, maybe it's just an easier transition for those guys because they have seen a lot of action against good defenses at the college level. And that's kind of been the case with Dillon Gabriel, who, he's mobile, he's got a good arm, and he's a good leader. Really, the only thing that we don't like about Dillon Gabriel is that he's short. Like, if he was 6'4", we'd be talking about him as a potential first rounder this year. So I'm sort of warming up to the idea that Dillon Gabriel could turn out and at least be a high-level backup, if nothing else.
We haven't mentioned Cam Ward's name on this episode, I don't think, which is a little odd when it's the number 1 overall pick and it's a quarterback. I know that part of the reason for that is because we knew where he was going, so there was no surprise or change here. But I do just want to quickly ask, so we're not totally ignoring him, Fitz, based on what you saw the Titans do with the rest of their draft, do you feel at all differently? I know you liked Io Manor and he did fall, but he goes to Tennessee. Do you feel a little better or worse about Ward than you did before the draft, now seeing what else Tennessee has done?
About the same, and in a way I like him more for fantasy than I do for real life, because I think he is an aggressive downfield thrower with some running potential. My concern is that if he's too loosey-goosey and plays the way he did at Miami, he's going to commit a boatload of turnovers, and that could jeopardize his status as a long-term starter.
Any quick thoughts post-draft on Ward, Bogman?
Yeah, I didn't move him from where I had him ranked before among all the quarterbacks. Adding weapons is great, making an effort. Adding DK, adding Io Manor, I think were good moves. But I didn't move him one way or the other.
Yeah, and I didn't figure he would have moved, all that much. Veteran quarterbacks, Bogman?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw some guys improve with weapons, right? C.J. Stroud got Higgins and Knoll. Caleb Williams got Burden and Loveland. And Bryce Young got a number 1 in Teteroa McMillan. And then we also saw the Jets and the Raiders not add a quarterback. So I think these were like slight boost in value for some of those guys. Down, Sam Darnold and Tua both had QBs drafted behind them. I know Quinn Ewers was late, but at that point, who cares? I mean, he's on the roster. So I think he could pass Zach Wilson in camp. If not, Tua's probably going to get hurt at some point, and then it's Zach Wilson and Quinn for the job. So I like that. I also love Milroe landing in Sam Darnold. I can't remember which side has the out, but I think it's the team. The team has an out after a year of Sam Darnold. So if he just does not work, they have a guy behind him with a ton of upside. So, I think those are some good moves for Seattle, but not good for Sam, not probably good for Tua either, that the Dolphins are at least making some type of a plan.
Fitz, veteran quarterbacks?
CJ Stroud and Justin Herbert, because of the weaponry that was added. Stroud, getting both of the Iowa State receivers, Jaydon Higgins and Jalen Noel, pretty exciting for him. I do wish maybe the Texans had added a little more on the offensive line in the draft, which is probably where they needed help more. But and then, with Justin Herbert getting the outside receiver he needed with Tre Harris, plus Rhamondre Gadsden Jr. So I'm excited about that. And then I'll just throw out Kenny Pickett as a guy. Like he had some fringy dynasty value before this draft, but now it's just really hard to see him starting any games in 2025 when the Browns have Joe Flacco and these 2 rookies they need to get a look at before 2026 when they have 2 first-round picks and might be taking another crack at a quarterback.
Isn't it hilarious, Fitzy, that he didn't want to stay in Pittsburgh because he didn't want to battle Justin Fields and Russell Wilson? So he gets traded in, and now he's in Cleveland, and he has 4 guys to compete with.
Unreal.
Good luck, buddy.
I can't wait for Kenny Pickett to be the thumbnail of this YouTube video. The biggest takeaways are Kenny Pickett deep dive. Let's go to the running backs here. We'll start with the rookies. Fitz, we'll start with you this time.
Let's see. So Jaquavius Woody Marks, I thought was an unexpected riser going to the Texans in the 4th round. Just a ready-made passing down back, and maybe there's a little bit of satellite back plus potential, spelling the, Joe Mixon, who's starting to get a little older. So he's one. And then just, we've really covered the downside with these guys, with Damien, Martinez, Jarquez, Hunter, the guys who didn't go to good landing spots. But how about Dylan Sampson? I mean, he was my RB6 pre-draft. I sort of debated between Sampson and, I'm sorry, I'm spacing out, RJ Harvey. Like, I had those guys neck and neck in the pre-draft process, and he is the second running back chosen by the Cleveland Browns behind Quinshon Judkins, who also have Jerome Ford still around. So it's just not a good situation for Dylan Sampson and his crazy athleticism. Yes, I think Cleveland will be a really run-heavy team this year, but still a pretty poor landing spot for him.
What do you think, Bogman? It feels like, well, maybe you disagree, so I won't. I'm curious your thoughts. Does it feel like we got a lot of good landing spots for rookie running backs once we got past those like elite tier of guys? Or do you feel like in general it was a disappointing group of landing spots for a lot of this very deep, talented class that we had a lot of sleepers we were keeping our eyes on?
I feel I was lukewarm, right? Like DJ Giddens in Indianapolis, not the best, right? That's not the best. But I didn't move him down. I didn't put him in this section as a loser. But I don't know. Taj in Cincy was fine. I like Monongai in Chicago, but I don't like Hunter in with the Rams. I don't like Damien Martinez, and there's a couple others I don't like. One that I did like was Jordan James. I like Jordan James going to San Francisco. I just don't believe a single word out of the Niners' mouth about Christian McCaffrey, and I never will again. Right? Like, send me all the signals you want. Trade Jordan Mason. You gave him an extension last year, and he didn't play at all. So, like, I'm just, he played whatever it was, less than 100 snaps. I'm sick of that. I love Jordan James. All he's got to do is beat out Garendo to earn playing time behind CMC, which is a favorable spot. So I really like that landing spot. The ones I didn't like outside of a couple we've discussed, Brashard Smith going to Kansas City feels like he's just a special teamer. LaQuint Allen falling to Jacksonville and being their second back when they still have Etienne and Bigsby on the roster as well, I didn't like. And then Ollie Gordon, I don't know. Like, it's fine. Miami maybe needs a thumper with Mostert gone, but I really like Jalen Wright still. I like the same conversation that we just had about how much more I like Quorum than Hunter. It's the same thing with Jalen Wright versus Ollie Gordon.
By the way, Monongai, that was a low-key, really fun landing spot for him. I know he was late in the draft, but we expected the Bears to take someone in the first 2 days at running back, and they did not. And the only running back they drafted was Kyle Monongai. Now, we could see the Bears sign Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins, and all of a sudden that crushes Monongai's value. But he's kind of an interesting late-round rookie pick right now.
Got to be Roshan, though. Got to be my boy, my Texas guy. Don't roll your eyes. It's a new coaching staff. They're probably going to go with the guy they drafted, though.
I don't think a new coaching staff helps Roshan, but
whatever. Nobody asked you, Worm.
Veteran running backs, not including Roshan Johnson. Fitz,
Chase Brown, for sure. We were worried that maybe there was going to be a running back chosen in the first 3 or 4 rounds by the Bengals. They did take Taj Brooks in the 6th, and I like Taj a lot as a complementary back. He does some of the things that, just a guy who could be a short yardage runner. He's a much better pass blocker than Chase Brown is. Like, there are reasons to get him on the field, but he is not going to usurp Chase Brown or dramatically reduce his workload. And I think DeAndre Swift, we thought DeAndre Swift might get some serious competition from like Quinshon Judkins or, Ashton Genty. And, now he's only got to worry about Kyle Monongai, a 7th-round pick. Sorry, are we going straight to losers?
Yeah, do losers.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, throw them both in there, yeah.
Yeah, obviously Jerome Ford having to deal with Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. I mean, that seems like a death sentence for his 2025 role. Najee Harris, now he's looking like a clear backup to Omarion Hampton. Boggs already mentioned Rhamondre Stevenson and Blake Corum, and I think Jalen Warren, just because maybe we thought Warren would get a bigger dose of early down usage this year with Najee Harris gone, but now they've actually upgraded on Najee Harris with Caleb Johnson.
Bogman, what do you think?
I had DeAndre Swift on my list as well as going up. Isaiah Pacheco, there was thoughts that maybe the Chiefs would take Hampton if he fell, and maybe then therefore there'd be a running back on their board at some point. They took Brashard Smith late. That's it. In terms of moving down, I have a lot of the guys that Fitzy has as well. Najee, I already talked about Garendo. I think Kendre Miller gets usurped by Devin Neal immediately. Etienne and Bigsby with a couple backs drafted in Jacksonville, and then Tyrone Tracy, right? Like, is it the first fumble that happens? I asked Erickson, I'm like, where are you at on Cam? And he said, I think the first time Tracy fumbles, Cam Scatterboo's your starter. They also still have Devin Singletary, but I think Tracy lost a lot of steam with them taking Cam.
Where do you have those guys ranked, by the way? Tracy and Scatterboo. What's the gap in their ranking look like for you?
I have Scatterboo at 21 and Tracy at 28.
Okay, Fitz, what's the gap for you?
I was really cowardly and I think ranked them back to back in Dynasty. I'm just pulling it up here. I think I've got...
It looks to me like you have Tracy 25 and Scatterboo 26.
Correct.
Coward!
That is very cowardly. All right, Bogman, rookie wide receivers, biggest movers.
There are a couple guys that were boosted by some additions. Nico Collins, Brian Thomas, Calvin Ridley, Xavier Legette. I think they're all boosted by adding some really good players there. I also have some guys that were boosted by really not having a threat added to them. Keon Coleman, we're kind of worried about what are the Bills going to do. Darnell Mooney, Atlanta didn't draft anybody. Your boy Bateman, Wormeli, Cedric Tillman, Jalen Tolbert, and Mingo. The Cowboys didn't add anybody. Wandale Robinson and Michael Wilson. I thought those guys were all kind of given a boost just by not being threatened by another body in there. And then the guys losing snaps. I mean, Jalen Reed, Romeo Dobbs to Golden, Godwin and McMillan for Egbuka. I think Demario Douglas with Kyle Williams coming in and Quentin Johnson with Tre Harris. Those were my big losers among the wideouts.
Did you want to add rookies real quick?
Oh, my bad. I completely skipped the rookies.
Okay. It's all right.
Dante Thornton, Torrey Horton, Shamiri DK, and Jordan Watkins. Thornton, just because there's like no speed threat in Vegas right now. I think that's just a very, very good landing spot. It's such a Raiders pick, by the way. Couldn't have been a more Raiders pick. And then Torrey Horton, they just need an outside presence in Seattle. Like, who does he have to beat? MVS? I mean, MVS is a vet, so maybe he doesn't do it immediately. But, Cooper Kupp's old. Maybe he gets hurt. And we see Torrey Horton. And then I thought DK and Watkins, both probably more special teams guys, but boosted by being picked way earlier than I gave them credit for, both in the 4th round. I was hoping that DK would fall to like the 6th and maybe the Steelers could snap him up. But I like those landing spots. And then losers among the rookie wideouts, I didn't have much, just Nick Nash not getting drafted. Obviously, I thought he could get a landing spot and end up somewhere nice. Was nice to see him end up in New England. Kind of a lineage pick for the Patriots of a white converted quarterback or whatever playing whiteout, but obviously not getting drafted hurt his stock a lot.
I like that Bateman call on the veteran side. I actually hadn't really thought of it from that perspective. I wanted the Ravens to draft a receiver. They didn't until round 6, and it's more of a returner, wide receiver 4 or 5 type option. So if Andrews takes a bit of a step back at all this year, just another year older, like obviously coming off that really poor playoff performance, I'm not expecting a lot from DeAndre Hopkins in terms of like volume and production this year. It's Zay, Bateman, and likely plus to whatever degree Andrews is still involved. That's really it in this offense. And 2 of those guys are tight ends. So I actually think Bateman's a really good call there. Fitz, want to run through your rookie and veteran receivers since Bogman did his all at once?
And by the way, I'm going to fade the rookie or impact or even beyond for Shamir DK. I really do think he's mostly special teams. I mean, he is really athletic, and maybe there's a little bit of a potential that he could be like a 4th or 5th receiver, but I don't think he's ever going to move
just
the needle in fantasy. Yeah. I mean, I like him. He's a really good football player. It's just, I think he's going to do most of his damage on special teams. So wide receivers, I like Kyle Williams. We knew the Patriots needed to add to their pass catching weaponry, and having Kyle Williams be sort of their top wide receiver, I think that bodes really well for his fantasy outlook. And how about Isaac Tesla? I mean, the Lions, Brad Holmes, like hyper aggressive move here. And you could second guess it, giving up 2 third-round picks in the 2026 draft. I know he got a 6th rounder back this year and next year, but man, two day 2 picks to move up in the 3rd round and take Isaac Tesla. It's really interesting because he was just not a guy who was very much on my radar for having any sort of fantasy impact, but man, he's 6'4". He's super fast and athletic. I think his relative athletic score was 9.97. We know that Jameson Williams has had trouble staying healthy and some off the field issues. So maybe Tesla winds up contributing.
Culture guy.
Yeah.
That's a kneecap biter for sure, Isaac Tesla.
Yeah, so that was definitely an eyebrow raiser, I would say. And then the guys, like, I didn't love the Texans landing spot for the Iowa State receivers, Higgins and Noel. I mean, you've got to compete. Higgins has to repeat with another big physical receiver, one of the best in the NFL in Nico Collins. And Jalen Noel has got Christian Kirk there. Not that Christian Kirk is great, but man, there are a lot of...
John Mechie, too. I mean, Mechie's still there.
Xavier Hutchinson. I mean, wow, it's just stacked. No, but I mean, I just, it's hard to see either guy commanding a lot of targets right away. So, and then, there was one other rookie I wanted to talk about. I'm drawing a blank here. Isaiah Bond, obviously. Just going completely undrafted, and I don't know if anyone has signed him as a UDFA. Nope. So obviously,
not that I saw.
His off the field issues are putting his NFL possibility of an NFL career in jeopardy. So, and then as far as veterans, great setup for Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman. I mean, we thought we were going to see Travis Hunter in Cleveland. Nope. Jeudy is now the clear number 1, and Tillman has a path to continue the ascent we started to see last year. And Marvin Harrison Jr., to a lesser extent, like still the clear number 1 in Arizona, even if, Kyler doesn't always throw to him like he is a true number 1. And veterans, Rome Odunze, I guess, getting Luther Burden into Chicago and also Colston Loveland to maybe not snuff out the promise of a second-year breakout for Rome Odunze, but sort of damper our expectations a little bit. And by the way, just I got to comment on the Luther Burden. It would have been unfathomable after the 2023 college season that Matthew Golden would eventually get drafted before Luther Burden. Think about that. When Matthew Golden was the number 3 receiver on the University of Houston, and Luther Burden was coming off a 1,200-yard sophomore season in the SEC.
Don't down talk your boy, Fitz. That's your guy now. Come on.
It's really not. And, if you would have been watching our live stream on Thursday night, Boggs, you would have known that pick did not sit very well with me.
Which Packers early receiver drafted this year did you like less, Fitz?
I didn't hate the Savion Williams pick. He's just such a freak athlete. I mean, they're, Randy Moss without the hands, basically.
It's going to be more running back, I feel like, for the Packers anyway.
There's just so many holes in
I know.
that depth chart. That receiver room is so deep already.
Yeah, I didn't like their first 2 days, but then I thought they had a pretty good day 3.
Yeah. All right, let's quickly go through some tight ends rankings movers before getting out of here. Fitz, we'll start with you on this one. Tight end rookies.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Elijah Arroyo landing spot. Like Noah Fant has been a perennial underachiever, and so, yeah, I think he has a chance to start right away. Faller, I mean, Harold Fannin, I like him, but, coming in behind David Njoku and a team that, other than Joe Flacco, is probably not going to be great if there's anyone else at quarterback for the pass catchers. And veterans, I mean, I can't really think of a veteran loser other than Cole Kmet and Noah Fant. And a winner, Jake Ferguson. I mean, Dallas really doesn't add much at wide receiver. I thought they were probably going to take a wide receiver on the first day 1 or day 2. No dice. Jake Ferguson's still going to play a big role.
It's a good one.
Bogman, tight ends.
Yeah, for me on the rookies, I just thought that I wasn't a big Mason Taylor guy. He got way more draft capital early in the second. Same thing with Terrence Ferguson. Didn't think he was going to go that high. So those guys, just in terms of their draft capital, it's showing that the team likes them way more than I do. So obviously those guys are moving up. I was with Fitz. I had Harold Fannin as a loser here because, you have a vet in David Njoku and you don't have a quarterback there yet. So I think that's a tough spot for Fannin. Among the vets, just guys that are keeping their job, like Dallas Goedert didn't get traded. The Bucks kind of were rumored to maybe be in on some tight ends. They didn't take anybody. Neither did the Giants. So Theo Johnson and Brenton Strange, the Jacksonville Jaguars, didn't add a significant tight end either. So I think those guys kind of boosted. And then Cole Kmet, like we talked about, Noah Fant obviously loses some steam. I think Njoku does a little bit because we've seen him go back to blocking and then use Harrison Bryant as a pass catcher. I hope that's not the case for him, but maybe with them drafting Fannin and then Chigakonkwo, I think Helm pushes him out of that job fairly quickly. And Tyler Higbee with Ferguson going there probably lost some steam as well.
Be sure to stick with us all week. We've got 3 different episodes coming your way, plus some other live chatting opportunities. So a lot going on the Dynasty side of things this week. Of course, it's a very fun week post-draft to talk rookies, not just winners and losers. We'll be doing a Superflex rookie mock in a couple of days, and we'll also be dropping some rookie tiers and trade strategy as well. So be sure to follow all that on the feed throughout the rest of the week. For Bogman and Fitz, I'm Ryan Wormeli. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this episode, and we'll see you again later this week. Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Football Podcast. If you love the show, the best free way to support us is by leaving a positive review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Follow us on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Fantasy Pros, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/fantasypros.